Hey guys, welcome back. It's Maverick here today with another episode of 86. So last episode, brilliant one. I love how it really portrayed the harsh realities of war, if you will, which is something that 86 has been doing all the way so far with the sacrifices of many of the members of the 86 and so on and so forth. But last episode was kind of a wake-up call once again, especially considering all of the peace and tranquility that we also saw throughout the past few episodes as well. And with that, Shin is back to his old self, certainly sympathetic towards those who die or are wounded during or injured during this war with the Legion, but ultimately he's a man with a mission and he's going to get it done. So anyways, in this episode, I think at the end of last episode, it was hinted that Shin and the others are going to be taking part in some new top secret initiative or something. Like, there is some change in the war front. I do hope that in this episode we learn a little bit more about how the war is actually going. Do they have a long-term plan? And of course, most importantly, what do our protagonists have to do with it, right? So with that in mind, let's get into the episode. All right, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Fob 13. Are we actually gonna get to see Lena again? I'd presume so, right? Although I have seen some people say that Lena, perhaps during these few chapters of the light novel, doesn't feature as prominent a role. I'd say probably a lot of people are looking forward to her return. Outside of the first episode, anyways. I do wonder, though. Like, this is just thinking out loud. Like, back in the start of the first season, we saw them driving their machines and whatnot alongside a railroad track. At the start of the second season, or second core, we saw that as well. And in the opening, we see that as well. I do wonder if that's going to be like a recurring theme. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I guess everybody... I guess everybody knows that they're going to have like a full-out assault.
と人民の安寧のため我がレギンレイブとノルトリヒト戦隊の正しい運用をぜひともご検討いただきたく少々閣下
She certainly has a lot of hmm.
これで20人割りました。うちは所詮研究部からの出向で外人部隊の集まりでついでに部隊長の苦悶など
Famous Spider-Man.
こっちにはよこしちゃくれんでしょう。
補充が来ないのは慣れてる。
おとなしく正規機構部隊にいりゃ楽できたでしょうに。
ここの方が気楽だ。
I mean, I'm sure the other commanders are kind of pissed that, you know, Nordlic has like the elite and whatnot. I mean, at the end of the day, there is some political grandstanding to be made, even within the army. Well, good morning, Princess. Or I guess, Empress.
エイティシックスはかわいそうでいたいけな子供たちというイメージが一人歩きしているようですね。
全部処分でもう確認を取らなくてもいい。
そうしたいんですけどね。形式ですよ。軍隊ってのは所詮不合理で非効率な人間の
True.
終わります、戦隊長殿。形式ですのでこちらの書類にサインを。
食べろ、フレデリカ。
こんな姿を見られてはレディーを逃すと誰がレディーだろう。
寝ぼけて半裸で徘徊してるのが一番問題だから。
無理についてきて身支度ができなくなるなら拠地に回した方がいいからそういう話をしているんだ。マスコットに怪人同様の空気は課されない。ここにいてくれた方が仕事が楽だ。
そういうわけにはいかない。見届けるためにオラを見に来たんじゃ。
それじゃあ明日からは寝ぼけて半裸でうろつかないようにしないとな。実はさ。
True.
クレナちゃん落ち着いて。
まあ全員集合ったってほんのつかの間だ。
今日はこれから後片付けかな。
防御陣地の補修に鉄器や遊軍機の残骸の回収、それに遺体も。機構部隊はだいぶやられたみたいだから。
Oh, that dude.
いらないって分かってるのにね。
かといって理由も説明できないし。
そうよね。まったく、そなたらあちこちから古希使われるのにすっかり慣れてしまったようじゃが、今日は久方ぶりにわらわたちの本拠地に戻るぞ。
Our base? 177th Division.
どうもレギンレイブはあなたたちや外人部隊の方が相性がいいみたいね。どうかしら、少尉。気に入ってもらえて。
評価報告はパラレードのそれと合わせ提出していますが。
ええ、だから聞きたいのは感想よ。かつて共和国で道玄坂のメルトリスを買ったあなたたちの。
あなたが作った方のジャガーノートについてでしたら。
レギンレイブよ。
ジャガーノート。
レギンレイブだってば。
ジャガーノート。
Come on, get on with it.
それで
けで安全性まるで考えてないし。
プロセッサーの何人かはあれに食い殺されたようなものよね。
俺たちだからなんとか乗りこなしてるだけだ。
あんな作ったバカの正気を本気で疑いたくなるようなやつより多少上等。使う方もどうかしてるわよ。
あれしかありませんでしたから。
ああ、そう。
悪い機体ではないと思いますよ。確かにプロセッサーは選びますが、足が速いのはありがたいですし、速度の割に性能が強くて小回りも効きます。
そう。なぜかしらね。褒められて
See, that was what I originally thought
それなのに
they were supposed to be doing, right? Like being like test pilots and
あくまでテスト要員
yeah, as test pilots. You know, how to further modify them to make them more effective.
86は特にね。私もバナルガンドに乗っていたの。10年前、レギオンとの戦争が始まった時、今のあなたと同じ年だった。仲間はたくさん死んだわ。ノロマのバナルガンドのせいで。もっと足の速いフェルドレスがあればって何度も思ったわ。レギンレイブを作らせたのもそのため。忌憚のない意見をありがとう、少尉。あなたたちも。次の回収ではもうちょっとマシな意見を言わせてみせるから期待していて。さて、通達の前に一ついい知らせがあるわ。ロアグレキア連合王国バルト盟約同盟の生存が先日ついに確認されたわ。
Okay, so 2 other countries?
北と南の国。
士官学校で習ったじゃない。そうだっけ。ただ、それ以外の周辺国や西のサンマグノリア共和国についてはまだ無線も捕まらないみたいだけれど。
中佐、じゃあ通達は良くない話ですかね。
残念ながらね。近いうちに大規模なレギオンの攻勢があると予測が出たわ。これを受け、西方方面軍は戦力増強と再編成を行います。我々1028試験部隊も正規の機構戦力として第177機構師団霊下となり、私が直接指揮を取ります。レギンレイブとノルトリヒト戦隊のここからが本領発揮よ。何か質問は？
構成の規模は
Division Commander, eh?
十分に迎撃できる程度と予測されているわ。そういえば、あなたからも上心が上がっていたわね、ノーゼン少尉。興味深く読ませてもらったけど、やはり少尉の予測した敵の数は相当無形だわ。統合分析室の予測を大幅に超えている。そんなに心配しなくて。
How do they analyze these things, though?
は違う。情報収集も分析も従前にしているし、なすべき備えもきちんとしている。何より連邦は決して共に戦う仲間を見捨てるような真似はしないわ。
Like, they said autonomous scouts, right? Beyond that, anything else? Like, do they have, like, aerial recon? I'm curious about that. I mean, with how things are progressing right now, I think it's quite obvious that the assault is going to be, like, much larger scale than even the Federacy anticipates, right?
どうした？
いい加減その足音を立てずに歩く癖を改めるか。殺風景じゃのう。写真なり絵なりの一枚も貼るがよいぞ。寒々しい。
寝るだけの場所だろう。物が増えると片付けるのが面倒だ。
眠るだけではないわたわけ。そなたがいる場所で帰る場所じゃ。そこを空のままにしておくのは良いことではないわ。共和国ではそれでも良かったのかもしれんがの。友人の部屋は写真だらけであったぞ。
片付けを。
どこも人手が足りぬでの。少し遺品の整理を手伝ったのじゃ。妹君の写真ばかりであった。
友人と話さなければよかったな。そうすれば死ぬところなど見えなくて済んだ。
わらわはそうは思わん。たとえいずれ死別するにしても、会わぬより会うた方が良い。覚えておいてやれるからな。
I kind of have the feeling that Federica probably
関わらない方が。
is already
そなたがそれを言うか。
involved in a lot of these kind of things.
何しに来たんだ？
いや、そんなんじゃない。実は、朝はすまなんだの。キリ。
ああ、そんなに似てるのか。
まあ、ウリ二つとまではいかなが、背格好はそっくりじゃ。我が騎士、キリア農前は、その他と同じ農前一族のものじゃ。キリアは農前公の直系ではなかったから、その他
Clan or family, I guess.
より4つ上で、最後に見たときは、今のそなたと同じ年じゃった。大人ばかりの要塞の中で、キリアだけが遊び相手だった。髪をすいて、庭の花を取ってきて、どんなわがままも嫌な顔一つせず付き合ってくれた。あやつと来たらまた、とかく生真面目で融通の利かぬたちでの。もしそなたと出会っていたら、さぞ不仲であったろうな。ほれ。
Mm-hmm.
こっちだ。人と話をするときは書物から目を上げろ。規律の断定はきちんと。
Probably the guy that we saw in the opening, right?
じゃろうから、それにまた怒って、目に浮かぶようじゃ。
どうしてレギオンに？
わらわのせいじゃ。
Ah, speaking of which,
僕はレギオンを用いて周辺諸国に
did the Federacy know about like how the Legion,
我々王室は辺境の要塞へと
takes the heads of soldiers and integrates them?
ってくれるはずじゃったのじゃが、そこは皮肉なものというか、まあ詳しい理屈はわからんのじゃが、レギオンは人間と共闘するようにはできておらぬらしい。よって要塞の防衛には人間の兵を使わざるを得なんだ。そしてキリアもわらわを守るため戦わざるを得なくなった。放棄した民どもとな。
今の連邦軍だな。
そうじゃ。連邦軍の兵士たちを殺し続けたキリアは、そのうちにおかしくなっていった。やがて家族も知り合いも失い、生まれ育った故郷は今や敵地。戦うこの衛兵たちも櫛の歯が抜けるように死んでいって、おそらくキリアはなくしすぎたのであろう。そのうちわらわを守ることが全てとなり、連邦の兵士を踏み潰して血みどろのフェルドレスを傍らにわらわに笑いかけることも珍しくなくなった。平然と晴れやかに。わらわはそれが恐ろしかった。やがて要塞は陥落し、わらわたちは連邦軍に捕まった。同じ戦場にいる人が激励に来ていたのは全く幸運じゃった。おかげでわらわの死の証として吊るし上げられたのは、着ていた皇帝のマントだけで済んだのじゃから。しかし、キリアはそれを見てしまっていた。
So what?
そしてその時、辺りをレギオンが戦闘に再利用可能なあらゆるものを探して這いずり回っておった。キリアは立ち尽くしたまま逃げなんだ。わらわがキリアをあのような化け物にしてしまった。そして結局帝国は滅び、多くの人々が死に、レギオンだけが残った。レギオンはじきに攻めてくるとそなたは言ったな。おそらくキリもその時に来るじゃろう。その時は
分かってる。
分かっておらぬ。危のうなったら無理をせず引くがよい。忘れておったのだ。人はたやすく死ぬのじゃな。どれほど先を望んでいても。先ほどそなたの言うた通りじゃな。知り合うた者が死ぬのはわらわは嫌じゃ。キリを救うためにそなたやライデンたちが犠牲になるでは割に合わぬ。そなたらには先がある。それを失わせてはならぬ。
先か。
やはり考えておらなんだな。まったく。
Oh, we're back to this discussion again.
そなたは有事を見
気がする。
Oh, Lena.
考えたこともないと。
なんと味気ない。そなたはここまで寒々しい。
I like that face.
さあな。
Hmm.
なんだそりゃ。慕われてんな、お兄ちゃん。
重ねてるだけだろ。
ああ、九段の騎士にか。けど、お前の方こそそうなんじゃねえのか。ずいぶん入れ込んでんじゃねえか。
そうかもしれないな。
Oh.
同じだから。
どうだかな。
It's Lashi.
回収を頼む。
That Shin is just so actively saying, yeah, I think I've taken a liking to her.
上手な結果出してたんだな。
伝えるだけは一応伝えておこうと思っただけだ。
ここに来た時、釘刺したはずだぞ。お前のその力については黙ってろって。戦闘中にあの声を聞かれて、それでお前がなんて呼ばれたか忘れたわけじゃねえだろ、死神。連邦の連中は連中自身が思ってるほど聖人君主ってわけじゃねえし、所詮ここでも俺たち86は連邦人と同格じゃねえ。人の脳みそ取り出したがんのは何もレギオンだけじゃねえんだ。お前がモルモットになるのは勝手だが、とばっちりで人質にされるのは俺はごめんだ。バカな真似すんな。
悪い。
あそこまで伝えてやっただけでも。
I mean, it's quite the reasonable take. But, you know, if you guys do really want to win against the Legion, there's gonna have to be some sort of compromise.
言ってんだよ。エルンストのおっさんが言ったことでも気にしてんのか。
先のことか。
ああ、
フレデリカにはむしろ考えろと言われたけど、別に考えたことはないな。その必要もなかったから。お前は？
ま、なんとかなるだろうとは思うけどな。レギオンとやり合うよりは難しいことじゃねえだろうよ。こんぐらいの時間だったな、いつも。調査は元気でやってんのかね。
Hey. Alright, see you guys after this. Alright, so that was the end of episode 15, and actually at the very end there we did get to see a few still frames of Lena and what she's doing. I figured they were actually going to do something like that, especially with the huge focus on the moon at the very end of the episode. You know, typically when that happens, you know, we get some kind of, you know, under the same night sky, looking at the same moon at that moment, you know, what is the other party doing? I thought we were going to get something cheesy like that. I guess in the end we did get something similar, because I do believe in the last few scenes we get to see Lena also looking out, and you know, her window in her room, and in her window she can see the moonlight and so on and so forth. She appears to be doing as well as can be, I guess, still thinking about how to fight back against the Legion, still thinking about how to bring the truth of the 86 to the Republic, and so on and so forth. Now, in this episode, we kind of learned a lot more about Federica's situation, and especially with her sort of, you know, her knight, if you will, right? Kiria, which I'm pretty sure is the dude we see in the opening, and, you know, we'll get there when we get there, and talk more. I mean, I do believe there must be some sort of significance, I feel, with the fact that he is still part of, you know, they're both, him and Shin are both part of the Nozens and whatnot. Like, is there a specific thing in their bloodline that makes them more, you know, is there something in regards to their bloodline and whatnot with their innate abilities that make them closer or somehow related to the Legion or so on and so forth, or at least, you know, other derivative technologies from that, right? Since we do see that there are some more, I guess, more supernatural things, if you will, within the 86 series as well, including but not limited to, you know, the para raids and so on and so forth, right? So we'll get there when we get there, but I think in this episode I'm more curious about two things, actually. Number one is in the situation where so number one is actually with what the colonel said, right? When she said that, hey, they've been establishing communications with the surrounding countries and whatnot, but the Republic is not responding, right? And certainly all the rest of them, kind of like perked up at hearing at that. Now, I'm not quite sure what they're trying to imply here, but I am definitely very, very curious, right? Like, why did they not establish connections, right? Is it the fact that the Federacy actually did not, are not actively trying to connect to the Republic, or is it actually a case where the Republic is completely shutting out any kind of outside communication, any kind of outside interference, right? I'm really, really curious, like, what that actually is, because I think that ties down into, like, a sort of bigger conspiracy, I guess you could say, in regards to, like, the ultimate goals of the various nations and the various people in power and so on and so forth. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like the Federacy, probably similar to the Republic. Maybe they are founded, or they do things according to their own principles of what they believe is right and wrong, and so on and so forth. Now, then again, just because you believe it is right doesn't necessarily make it universally right, and so on and so forth, right? So it's kind of interesting to see, like, how exactly we should view the Federacy, actually, just as how we should view the Republic. And I mean, we can clearly see that the Republic, it's hiding some stuff, right? And, but at the same time, I really hate it when we do have to have a series where, oh yeah, they are evil, they are wrong, and so on and so forth, so we must change and make it into, like, a, we have to fight this personal crusade against this nation, this group of people, or so on and so forth. I do hope that it's a little bit more nuanced than that. And there are reasons why they decided to go their respective paths, right? And the same goes for the Federacy as well. I mean, we can clearly see that they are constantly hinting that maybe the Federacy is not as it is not. It might be similar to Republic in a lot of ways, right? Certainly, the Republic is also very big on saying, we are the shining beacon, we are the shining examples of our people, and so on and so forth, and we do things ethically and glory to the nation, all that kind of stuff, right? And I'm sure the Federacy, to a certain extent, also practices that propaganda, and maybe it's all relative, right? It's all relative. So, I'm really curious, like, what that situation is, and why they could not establish connections, right? I also find it quite convenient, actually, that, throughout all this time, and we are literally at this point when we can start establishing connections with the other nations as well, like, what were they doing in the past 10 years, right? So, that's one thing. And then, obviously, the next thing is, the big assault. Well, I guess that's not the other thing I wanted to talk about, but just to quickly, go through it again, I think it's quite clear that they are hinting, especially from Shin, that it's going to be a way bigger assault than anybody is anticipating, even in the Federacy, and probably that will also help them shift some perceptions to them, maybe for good, maybe for bad, as we see at the very end there from Raiden. It is possible that the Federacy will view Shin as something of a freak, and, it is a very valuable power, right? If they can actually replicate it and, make it into some sort of early warning system. I mean, if they truly are as diligent in their recon as they say, then I'm sure it will be extremely, extremely valuable to them that they have someone who can actively sense how many of the Legion there are, and their movements and their strength, and so on and so forth, right? There's actually so many questions I like to ask about, like, how the various nations do things, how their army does things, like how they do recon, and so on and so forth, and what is this, why exactly is this discrepancy, right? How come it is that even for people who say that they are really, really, they really, really emphasize their recon and analysis work, and I'm sure that it's actually based on stuff that they've been able to repeatedly verify and act, intelligence that they can act upon. I mean, they've been fighting this war for 10 years already, right? So you would think that they they have a certain degree of confidence in their own recon and scouts and intelligence reports in order for them to exhibit this kind of confidence. So they had to have been quite right in many times and many circumstances for them to place such high confidence on them. So why exactly is this discrepancy? That's also something that I kind of want to know. But I guess the other big question mark I actually have is, after listening to Federica's story here, we already know, right? She already mentioned like 2 episodes ago that the Legion was unleashed onto the world by the Empire, right, and by the Imperial family. And hearing her story here, though, like about how they were actually banking on having the Legion protect them and so on and so forth. I do wonder, could it be actually a case where, because there was this revolution or rebellion and whatnot, and the Imperials, right, like the Imperial family was thrown out, could it be possible that the Legion only accepts and obeys orders from those of the Imperial family, right? Those of the family, and thus, everyone else, they are enemies. Is that why the Legion went completely haywire? And it all stems from the fact that there is no leader for them anymore, because their leader was supposed to be that of the Imperial family, right? Because if so, you can easily imagine a scenario where Federica is going to be the key to ending all this, actually, because she, as the last of her family, of her lineage, she represents that Imperial family, that bloodline, right? And if my hypothesis is correct, and the Legion only obeys orders from the Imperial family of Giad, then Federica is going to be the one who is able to put an end to all of this, right? I mean, it's a little bit of a stretch, but I could totally see a situation where that happens, right? And it would also make total sense as well. You would think that an Imperial family that tries to create these sort of autonomous machines to fight for them, they would also make sure that they are the only ones who can control it, right? So I would say that's a pretty reasonable assumption to make, and also a reasonable assumption as to how to end all of this, if you will. So maybe not, maybe we'll learn more in the future and whatnot, but definitely that is something that I think we should keep in the back of our minds as some potential as a potential scenario and a potential outcome out of all this. So anyways, that's it for this episode. Some food for thought, and well, let's just get into the big battle already. I can't wait to see some actual action. So see you guys next week, and bye bye.